Is the Summit 15-inch clear ice maker the right fit for your home bar or busy kitchen, or is it something you can live without? Who should actually buy this built-in unit, who would be better off skipping it, and does the price make sense for a regular family that just wants a handful of clear cubes a day? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. If you've ever watched a bartender drop a crystal clear cube into a Manhattan and wondered why your own ice always looks cloudy, you're not alone. The hesitation most people feel comes from the fear of investing in a countertop appliance that ends up gathering dust, or worse, a machine that makes ice but doesn't fit the space you have. The Summit model tries to sidestep that by being a built-in, panel-ready unit, but that also means you have to plan the installation ahead of time. In my research, I dug through a handful of user photos, installation guides, and the few comments that do appear on the Amazon page. The consensus is simple: it works great when it's installed correctly, but the built-in promise can become a hidden cost if you're not prepared. First, let's talk about who actually benefits from this kind of ice maker. If you run a home bar that regularly entertains friends, or you're a cocktail enthusiast who likes to experiment with old fashions, whiskey sours, or even just a good gin and tonic, clear ice makes a noticeable difference. The cubes are larger, denser, and melt slower, which means your drink stays balanced longer. The Summit produces up to 68 pounds of ice per day. That's roughly 20 to 30 pounds per 24-hour cycle, more than enough for a weekend gathering or a small event. For a commercial kitchen that needs a steady supply of clear ice for garnish trays or high-volume service, the daily output is a real selling point. On the other side of the coin, if you're a typical family that just wants a few ice cubes for everyday drinks, you might be overpaying. The unit is designed for a permanent installation, so you'll need to allocate a 15-inch cabinet space, run a water line, and possibly deal with electrical requirements that go beyond a standard plug-in countertop model. For renters or anyone who moves frequently, that level of commitment can become a hassle. Also, the machine is not portable. You can't just roll it out for a backyard party and then store it away. If you're looking for a simple plug-and-play solution, a countertop ice maker, even if it produces smaller or slightly cloudy cubes, would likely be a better match. Now, what does the Summit actually do well in day-to-day use? The biggest practical strength is the clarity of the ice. The machine uses a multi-stage filtration and a slow freeze cycle that removes impurities, resulting in a cube that looks more like a glass marble than the typical white, brittle pieces you get from a freezer. In practice, that means you can see the garnish through the ice, and you won't get that cloudy halo that some people find off-putting. I saw a homebrew enthusiast post a short video of his bourbon tasting, and the clear cube let the amber liquid shine without the visual distraction of air bubbles. Another strength is the consistency of size. The 15-inch form factor produces uniformly shaped cubes, which is something you rarely get from a countertop model that tends to spit out irregular chunks. When you're mixing a cocktail that requires precise dilution, those uniform cubes melt at a predictable rate. In a small restaurant setting, that consistency can actually streamline drink prep and reduce waste. No more half-melted cubes that ruin a drink's balance. The machine's built-in, panel-ready design also brings a clean aesthetic to the kitchen. Because it can be hidden behind a matching cabinet face, it doesn't dominate the countertop like most countertop ice makers. For a modern kitchen with sleek lines, that hidden look can be a design win. It also frees up valuable counter space, which is a real perk if you already have a crowded prep area. But there are practical weaknesses that you'll feel once the unit is installed. First, the installation itself is non-trivial. You need a dedicated water line, a drain, and a proper electrical outlet. The instructions assume a certain level of DIY competence or professional help, which adds to the overall cost. Some reviewers mentioned that the waterline connection was a bit finicky, requiring a bit of trial and error to get a leak-free seal. If you're not comfortable with plumbing, you might end up spending extra on a handyman. Second, the machine's daily production capacity can be a double-edged sword. While 68 pounds sounds impressive, the ice storage bin is relatively modest. If you're hosting a large gathering and run the machine continuously, you'll find yourself emptying the bin every hour or so. That means you need a place to store the extra ice, which can be inconvenient in a small kitchen. For a family that only needs a few cubes a day, the bin might feel oversized, and you'll be watching the ice maker churn.